Welcome here on Sunday evening to prime time on KOFO 1220, 103.7 FM, your home and away voice of the Kansas City Royals, the Ottawa Braves, the Ottawa Cyclones, your country music giant on the East Central Plains of Kansas. You are listening to Boomer Takes with Pete and Jake. Yes, your good buddy, Dr. Peter W. Tinsman, MD, yours truly, John Jacobson, JD. And we are two grandfathers now. We'll talk a little bit about that. We're just kicking it around on the front porch like Andy and Barney did with Aunt B and Opie. A little summer porch action.
John, who's Andy and who's Barney?
Andy Griffith.
Yeah, I know, but
Barney
who? I understand Andy. Barney.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, all I will say is I'm not Jim Neighbors and you're not Goober Lindsay. So I'll give you that caveat, and I'll let everybody else draw their own conclusions. Okay. Pete and I go back as friends, guys, almost half a century. And so I think it's great when two old friends can continue to reflect and share about their lives as time progresses. And it's kind of a fun age. Pete, I want to just say that you're kind of getting into the grandfather vibe now. And, you know, Deb and I are blessed. We have an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, 1-year-old, and newborn grandchildren. And Pete, you're just coming into this, and it's kind of life-changing even for the grandparents, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely life-changing. You know, first grandchild was born last October. So he's, like 9 months old now, almost 10 months. Our second one was born 3 weeks ago. With our daughter and her husband, and after they were just visiting us and just left this morning, I just put them on a plane about an hour ago to go back to Denver. It's crazy, busy. I mean, it's like, oh wow, this is really
there's
something.
A third on the way. Is that correct?
That's right. There's a third on the way, and I have another daughter who's going to be. She's 34 weeks, and so she's due to have a baby in about 6 weeks. So. Then there's another one. So
you're going to have what? Are you going to have 4 or 5 within
three.
About an 18? 3 within a
3, just 3
within about a 1-year time span there. So you're going to need those 3 benches in a Honda Pilot if you want to trek them all around at the same time in their car seats.
I don't think you could ever get my wife to drive a minivan. Her favorite car was the Ford Excursion to haul the kids around in, and they stopped making that. But now she drives a Ford Expedition, so she likes that. But grandchildren are life changing, and I'm going to ask you this question: so, are your grandchildren, John, the most beautiful and smartest?
Oh, absolutely.
Children in the entire universe.
Absolutely, positively, yes.
And all of our friends who have grandkids, they all say theirs are the best, and so. I'll be honest. When our first one was born, I've obviously seen thousands of babies delivered, and
you are retired obstetrician,
yeah. And so I delivered between I probably right around 4,500.
Wow.
I would say between 4,000 and 5,000. But
wow!
And when our first one came out, I was like, there's some kids that come out that the nurses will go FLK, and I was like, the first time I heard that, I said, pardon me. FLK, and they'll say funny looking kid, and then there's other babies that are born and like, now that's a good looking baby, and and I always I thought my first one on a scale of 1 to 10, I gave him about an 8.5. The second one that was born, scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving him about an 8. I'm giving him an 8. He's not an 8.5. I think the first one was a little bit cuter, but that all changes. I think the cuter you start off, uglier you get when you're older. And maybe if you start off homely, then you're attractive when you're older. So
Pete, you and I commented when we saw the Creighton co-eds, there are a lot of late bloomers and ducklings that turn into swans. Never grade things out prematurely. A 25-year-old human looks different than, thank goodness I was such a gangly, lanky, Ichabod Crane type of 6'1", 135 pounds. I don't know what Deb saw in me. Looking back, I sure am glad I wasn't frozen in time at age 18 with acne and being hyper thin and, so fresh faced. But my wife says men age very, very well.
I guess we do. Hell, I don't know. I wish we didn't have to age. I'm not a huge fan of getting older. I'd like to. It would be nice to. I'd stay in your 40s. You're strong.
Yeah.
You got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pete, I've been going back for the last several weeks. I just seem fixated for whatever reason. Summer does this to me when I think of swimming pools and golf courses and my early jobs in the summer, my first summers driving the car, the music I listened to, the sports I listened to. Pete, I am so nostalgic for the 70s and 80s. And what's amazing is if you're not 50 years old or over, you have no reference point for what the 70s and 80s were like. Actually, if you're younger than 60, you really have no recollection of what the 70s were like.
Yeah, and and I'll be honest with you, born 61, I had a horrible head injury when I was 17, so I don't remember a lot prior. So early 70s stuff, I don't really remember.
I still have nightmares of Jimmy Carter, so I still have the Jimmy Carter PTSD a half century later.
There's a lot of stuff I don't remember, but it is what it is. But I love the 80s. The 80s, as music comes on, and my kids listen to 80s music, and
you and I would watch Miami Vice on Friday night. Yes. Remember that? You and I would watch that very stylish Jan Hammer music.
We would watch Miami Vice before we went out to the bars.
We did, absolutely. Well, we had to pick up our moves with chicks from Don Johnson and the gang there.
Yeah, right, John.
So Boomer Takes with Pete and Jake. And I'll never forget whenever Deb and I went back to the old place there at 33rd and where was it? Webster there in Omaha. Dave Beat eating his Reese's Pieces watching the Cubs. You could always set your clock by Dave Beat in the Cubs game on WGN. So there were certain things that were just, you could just set your watch to it. So Pete, we have a lot of kids going back to college. We have a lot of parents that tearfully have sent their kids to college for the very first time. Literally, that's been going on last week, this weekend. Some are probably listening to this show as they are coming back from their trek to wherever it is. It's Kansas State or Kansas or even further. They're driving home tonight listening. It's a very emotional time. I will never forget, as you know, we were both Eastern Iowans. We both started at Creighton in Omaha. I will never forget, it was a scene out of Brady Bunch. The whole family in the station wagon loading me up. And I remember as they departed for the last time, dropping me off with finality there at Dagelman Circle at 25th and Cass. My baby sister, the 6-year-old, with her face pressed against the back of the car, the rear of the giant Pontiac station wagon, her face pressed against the glass, just sobbing. I could see the tears streaming down her cheek as they pulled away to go back to Cedar Rapids. And I teach students here at Ottawa, and a lot of them have younger siblings. This is a very wrenching time for people. The homesickness for kids once they get to school. I have so many international students, Pete. They're literally from Australia or Europe or South America, Asia Minor. They have come thousands of miles, many of them. It's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it is. I remember when my mom and dad were taking me to Creighton for the first time, the car caught on fire.
What the heck?
The car caught on fire. Yeah, the station wagon. They had the station wagon loaded. It was a Mercury station wagon, and people were driving by.
Mercury, yeah.
People were driving by and pointing at it and waving and pointing at our car. In the rear, I think the bearings had gone out on one of the rear wheels, and the damn thing caught on fire. And luckily, all my stuff in there didn't burn. And then friends of theirs, and we were probably an hour and a half from the Quad Cities. We were between Iowa City and Des Moines on Interstate 80. And then
Pete, I would have rescued you. If I'd been there, I would have rescued you.
And one of our neighbors brought a car to us, their station wagon, and loaded everything up, and off we went. And it's like, damn car caught on fire. But here's...
I would have rescued you. Just know that. I would have gone in and single-handed. I probably would have rescued Lizzie first back in the day, but I would have rescued you. I would have gotten around to it.
Lizzie's my sister, so John had kind of crush on her. But no, so here's something you're talking about, dropping kids off at college. And I was... relaying this to my daughter, who is 34 weeks pregnant with her broken arms, and that.
Oh, how is she doing, by the way? You told that story last week. That's just such
Yeah,
a
no, she's
difficult
doing
thing.
better. She's doing better. It's been really difficult to do stuff. But so yeah, I still go in. I'm going to Chicago to, as soon as we finish here, and I'm usually in there late on Sunday night, and I come back on Tuesday night or Wednesday. But and she was getting kind of worked up about moving because she moved into a new place, and I remembered what the dean of students said to my daughter when we dropped her off at the University of Dayton in Ohio for her first year of college. And my daughter was like, "Oh my God, this is terrible. We got all this stuff to do." Da, da. He goes, "Here's the deal. You see something, you see this big problem and all the stuff this thing you have to take care of. He goes, just remember, break it down into little parts. Take care of the easiest thing first, then move to the next, then move to the next. And before you know it, that huge problem is not big anymore, and you've taken care of it. Do not get overwhelmed by the big picture. Take it apart piece by piece, starting with the easiest things first." I'm like, "Oh, I think that's a pretty good idea."
That's really great prudential advice. And, Pete, what's interesting, what I find, I try to think, what's different today than it was then? Well, you can still find Spartan dormitories, residence halls that aren't all, penthouse, upper class vistas. We still got a lot of four-year colleges that retain kind of a semblance of the type of dorm life that we had. But Pete, the biggest difference I see is that everybody has a car. Back in our day, I think maybe 1 out of 10 of us in our dorms had an automobile. The other difference I see is, all of my kids here are on athletic scholarship and academic scholarship, as was my baby daughter at her NAIA college. But Pete, all these kids here are going to school full time. I've got kids taking 1821 academic credits. They're also a full-time athlete, meaning they're working out, they're practicing, they're competing, they're traveling, and they're working retail. How do I know that? I see them working at Walmart and all the restaurants. And Pete, I don't think we were quite 24/7 torn in three directions like that. I'm glad we were able to at least focus on studying. In some ways, I'm amazed at these kids and their ability to multitask.
It is amazing. I remember when I was in college, my dad specifically said to me, he goes, "You will not have a job during college. You're to focus on your studies." And I was like, "Okay." And I was very fortunate from that standpoint, and really appreciative of what my parents did for me. But, there are people who, my roommate our friend, for 2 years in college and 2 years when I was in medical school, Dave Peters, Dave's dad ran away from home when he was like 14 or 15. And so I remember Dave saying that when he turned 16, his dad said, "You're on your own. You can live here for free and we'll buy your food. You're paying for all your own clothing. You pay for your own schooling." I mean, as a 16-year-old, and he went to Catholic school in Waterloo, Iowa, and he paid for all of his own college education. And I remember he always was working in the library to make money, kind of that, what do they call that when the kids work?
Work study.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And so I really admire those people who say, this is what we have to do. And,
I was going to kick out
it really is something. And it's kind of like, when I was in practice, my favorite patients were the farm women. And, they were my favorite. Sitting and talking to them about how they raised their family, everything that the kids had to do before they got on the bus, all the chores that were needed to be done before school even started, and what needed to be done after they got home. And I told my kids, boy, if you can marry, girls, if you can marry a boy off the farm, do it, because the work ethic those people have,
Pete, it's so true.
It is so admirable.
Yeah.
Nobody married anybody from a farm, and wish they would have. I also thought they should have married either somebody who was a plumber, an electrician, or a car mechanic. Because
a drywaller.
I dropped my daughter off at the airport and was talking to a pilot that he was getting ready to go to work, and he was like, he was a younger kid, he was a co-pilot, second in command, and I don't know which airline he worked for, But and I started talking about flying because obviously I fly, and he had been a plumber before he became a pilot. And this kid was probably late
Awesome.
20s, you know,
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
but it was like, oh, geez, I wish one of my daughters would have married somebody like you. To marry a guy who's a plumber and knows how to fly an airplane, now that's perfect.
Yeah, or an electrician or a
Yeah, yeah,
drywaller, or
exactly.
you want somebody that you can call at night, just someone who can build bookshelves for me.
You want somebody who can fix the things around the house, so you don't have to
Yes,
pay a gazillion dollars
yes,
to
yes.
have somebody come and do it. So that's the key. So
You
we
know,
need more.
it's
We
so
need
true.
more. We need more skilled labor. There's a problem right
Oh,
there. I
Pete, we
mean,
could go on forever because colleges are
one
cranking
for
out these worthless degrees
worthless
and
degrees.
charging kids 200 grand to a quarter million in student loans to get there.
Yep.
It's the greatest scam going on in America today.
And it's like I don't know if did I ever tell you my Boeing aerospace story?
No, go
College.
for it, Chief. Go for it.
Yes, I mean, people listening to this, if they have children if they have grandchildren or looking, for schools. But so one of my sons was wanting to do engineering, and so we had gone to Northwestern and Iowa State and University of Illinois and Purdue and visited those schools. And what I noticed in all the little get-together sessions, they would say to your parents, "Oh, ABC company loves our kids," and all these schools said Boeing loves our hiring our kids. I'm like, this is a bunch of BS. And so we left Purdue. I went home, and when I got home, I called Boeing. I said, I'm going to find out for sure. And so I picked up the phone and I called Boeing's headquarters when they were out in Seattle at the time. And I got a receptionist and started just kind of chatting with her for a little bit about whatever. And just kind of being, a Midwestern boy talking to somebody on the West Coast. And she was just chatting away. And I said, hey, who's in charge of recruiting college kids off of campuses for Boeing? And she says, oh, this would be, I don't remember what her name was, but that's Janice Smith. She's in an office down in the Los Angeles area. I'll transfer you down there. I said, okay, great. I'm going to get transferred down to another Boeing, big building down in California. And okay, we'll go through this whole thing again. Phone rings. Hello, Janice Smith. She put me right into her office. And I said, okay, I got a question for you. I got a son who's getting ready to go to college, and he's trying to figure out where to go. And he's my son, he was the brightest of our kids. And I said, is it fair to say the best and the brightest are only going to the name brand schools, the Ivy Leagues, the Northwesterns, the Stanfords, or, whatever? And she goes, absolutely not. And you only recruit out of those schools? Absolutely not. She goes, we recruit out of 150 different colleges and universities around the country, because not one school has it all. We go to public schools, we go to really tiny schools that you've never heard of before. We go to the big ones and the name brand ones. And she goes, and she was like, and we know that college is really expensive. We know the brightest kids are trying to get a good education, but save money and not be in debt $250,000 a year. And so we go to all of them. She goes, we go to Iowa State because they have really good cyber or computers or cybersecurity engineering there. We go to Carnegie Mellon for X thing. We go to this little tiny engineering school in California that she goes, I promise you've never ever heard of it. And we grab kids from there for a certain area. And so it was a real eye opener for me. It's like, oh, good. So you can have a child go to a state school, save a significant amount of money, and still have an opportunity to get a good job. Now, you got to work hard. You're not going to get a good job if you got C's. You got to work hard. But that was my eye-opening experience. So,
well, Pete, is well said. And what's amazing is, if you go to a community college, which is incredibly cost effective compared to an undergraduate state school or private college, you've got kids in 2 years turning out of some of the programs like in soldering, making $75,000, $80,000 a year right out of the gate.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you mean welding versus soldering?
I'm sorry, welding. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me in my old age here.
One of my patients was head of admissions at the community college in our area. And this was, I've been retired, 12 years, 11 years? This is before then. And she said, kids coming out of their welding program who are starting at 80 grand a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
That's happening in Iowa and Kansas. Yeah, it's really incredible.
And if they specialize in stainless steel welding, they're making 100,000 a year. And anybody who wanted to do underwater welding, name your price practically. And that was a long time ago. So I have a lot of patience.
As opposed to an English or social work or philosophy degree or even exercise sciences, I really wonder what you can do with some of those degrees. And yet these universities are more than happy to charge you $50,000 a year tuition. And we know what the student debt loads are for these kids. And it's hard to make that back. And Pete, I can't imagine today, you're a medical doctor retired, maybe you can talk about this, but for a medical school student or a dental school student or a pharmacy school student, how do you go to school without being absolutely underwater in debt? And how do you recoup that in this day and age?
I don't know. I don't know. I remember Creighton University. My first year of medical school tuition was $9,000.
But this was in the 1980s.
1980s. This would have been my first 1984. My first year of medical school was $9,990. Was my
Which,
first
by the way,
year.
ladies and gentlemen, was 42 years ago. So think of what the inflation and the CPI index has been, what that would translate into today.
Yeah. And my final year, I think it was up to fourth year. I think it was up to $15,000 for the year. And I don't know what Creighton would be for medical school now. 80,000, 90,000. I don't know. I was fortunate. My parents paid for all my education. So I was always extremely, extremely grateful for that. And I never, ever, 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 ever took advantage or took it for granted.
Well, that's one of the greatest things that has happened. And I mean this sincerely. One of the greatest things that's happened in a generation are these Trump education accounts. Folks, fire those up for your kids. You can even get that money seeded at the front end, seed money for it. And with the miracle of compound interest.
John?
And yes, Pete.
How do people find out about this?
Just Google Trump account or anywhere. There's all sorts of tremendous on the World Wide Web, on any browser. Just Google Trump account. I think it's the most phenomenal thing since 401ks, IRAs. It's tax-free. Remember, guys, just think of this. I'm going to do some simple math here. The rule of 72. The rule of 72 says, take the number 72 and divide by what your rate of return is, and that's how long it takes for your money to double. So for instance, the stock market for the last century has averaged, on average, a per year return of 8 to 9%. There are differences from year to year, but the average is 8 to 9%. So take 72, let's be conservative, 72 divided by 8. That means your money doubles every 9 years. So think about this. If you got $10,000 every year, or even $5,000 a year into a Trump account for an infant, that money's going to double on itself twice by the time they're 18. So 5,000 at birth becomes 10,000 at age 9, becomes 20,000 at age 18. You may say, well, that's nice. I turn basically 5,000 into 20,000. But guys, what if you put another 5,000 in when they're 2 years old? You got 40,000 essentially. What if you put another 5,000 in when they're 6 years old? You're going to have well over 50,000. And see, this is all tax deferred. So you're paying no taxes on it. So basically, instead of paying the government 33% to 40% of every dollar you make ultimately in income tax that fourth quarter, you're getting a real great bang for your buck. So Pete, I would urge everybody to dig in on these Trump accounts. And guys, literally, Trump has found billionaires that have put seed money in. I think you can get $1,000, $1,500 just for enrolling in the program to seed the fund with some initial money. It's just an amazing miracle.
Didn't Michael Dell give some?
He did. He was the big
$6 billion
yes,
or something like that.
Precisely. You're very well read. That's exactly the first. And other billionaires and millionaires have followed suit. And guys, it's like found money. You're leaving money on the table if you don't do this. Literally leaving money on the table.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's one way we can
It's
help our
interesting, and I don't know
kids.
kids. Do you know if your child was born before X date, they don't qualify for it?
Yeah. There are for the free seed money. There's a certain date that the kids have to be born. It's got to be real recent on the seed money, but it's not too late to enter the program, even if you're not within the confines of the free money dates there. Which means it's still big. Basically, it's like an IRA that you can benefit from as an adult, except you're really helping kids get a huge head start on this right now, because we know school costs a lot, obviously. So this is a way of combating that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So Pete, so you're not going to change cars to tote the grandkids in. We got 2 minutes left here. You and Heather might need to change your mind about that. If you got 3 kids in car seats at once, might have to, I had to give away a pickup truck when our kids were born because they couldn't all ride in the front and there was no room in the back. So if those kids are going to be visiting you, coming out for a week in the summer with Grandpa and Grandma, you might need to change up your vehicle modality, my friend.
Yeah. I think, our Ford Expedition's got 2 captain's chairs in back and then a bench, so you can get 5 in
Ford
there.
Expedition, 2 captain's chairs, a bench. That might work. My wife the lovely and gracious Deborah is giving you the thumbs up. She said that will work, Pete.
Thanks, Deb. Then I'm not gonna bother to spend any more money on a car.
She, of course, thinks she's Mario Andretti. She still thinks she's the best race car driver on the planet. And
she never exceeds the speed limit in Ottawa, Kansas, does she?
She's the Honda whisperer, Pete. She can get 50 miles a gallon on any Honda of any make or model or year, 50 miles a gallon. And she takes the photo, anything. She's driving a Fit right now. She was getting that with an HRV and a CRV and a Civic and an Accord. And the dealers would never believe us until she would take photos of her chronometer with the mileage, bona fides. Now, I would tell you that she cheated. She would drive 55 and not run the air. But I'm telling you, she could get 50 to pull up on her mileage. She is the Honda whisperer.
I drive a Ford F-350 and dually, and I do not get 50 miles a gallon.
Well, you won't get 50 out here. However, our good buddy Bill Proct, who was just on with us with his Friday afternoon East Kansas Agri Energy report, he's got that tractor combine waiting for you, Pete. You get out here, you're going to be, you'll be Eddie Albert on Green Acres, just like me. You'll be like the farmer on the track, be the lawyer on the tractor. See, I'm Eddie Albert. You can be the lawyer on the tractor, or you can be the doctor on the tractor.
Well, you just have him tell me what day he wants me there, and I'm there.
You'll love it out here, Pete. So you got to come on out. And Pete, we have cicada locusts that are so loud.
Oh, really?
I recorded the audio of our home the other night. It sounds like a symphony of 1 million buzzing locusts. It sounds like a Twilight Zone episode where we have been invaded by all these Martians that have craft that buzz. It's the most astounding sound. It's literally deafening. Deb has to plug her ears coming in the house. There must be millions in our trees.
Well, what's interesting, I don't have that at all. Haven't noticed that at all here. Is this supposed to be, there was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
We get them every year, and I guess that's why we
No,
live
but
on.
there was a big hatch.
There was.
At least up in Iowa, Illinois,
there was. Those like 20-year cicadas or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
okay. So Pete, it's been a half hour already. I hope we've given grandparents a spring in their step. I hope we've given parents some coping skills here as they leave their kids off. I hope we've given young people a couple of tips on how to finance their future and the future for their kids. Pete, as always, it's great to be with you here on Boomer Takes with Pete and Jake. Any final thoughts before we exit on another 100-degree day? It does start to cool off tomorrow for us here in the Great Plains of Kansas. We've had 2 weeks, though, of heated seas of well over 100. It's been very salty, but we've had, the good Lord has blessed us with some perfectly timed rains, too. So the crops are hanging in there nicely.
Good. Well, I just wish everybody well for this next week. Stay healthy and happy.
And Pete, stay
You know?
away from those gators and crocodiles down there. It just bothers me that you can stroll on the golf course
Well,
or go outside your front door and see these jaws click, click, click and looking for food.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm in Wisconsin now, so for third tonight,
All
I'm
right.
in Wisconsin. So.
And guys, football season starts.
Oh,
Even
here's my final thought. Here's my final thought.
Yes.
You got a chance to run up to Des Moines, go to the Iowa State Fair.
It's the best state fair. It really is. It really is. You know, it's great. The people are so authentic. They have what's called the soapbox, and all the candidates for president, governor, and senator all take their turns on the soapbox. And Iowans are very blunt people. And what I laughed about the other day was one of the gubernatorial candidates. I know this particular one. I'm an equal opportunity. I love people from both parties. I'm an independent.
Who was it? This guy's last name Sand?
Yes, it was. I know.
What's his
Rob,
first name?
Rob. I know Rob, and he and I are not on the same page politically, but Rob came out for one of my veterans fundraising events to help fund the honor flights. And the other day, Rob took the soapbox. He was heckled and booed and chased into the bathroom where he kind of hung out for a while. So they'll literally heckle you and hound you into the bathroom where you have to shelter in place. That's the Iowa State Fair, friends.
I'd love Iowa State Fair. I don't know if I'm going to get there this year.
Yeah, hey, their best was, the sculptured milk butter cow of Caitlin Clark was great. But she's too thin. The greatest one was the great sculptured buttermilk of William Shatner, because that lasted. That was
there we go. Everything ends with William Shatner with
you. It does.
All right. It's time to say goodbye, John.
Good night, Gracie. Hey, to all of our friends, thanks for tuning in tonight. Grab this podcast, KOFO.com. Our great engineer, Sean Xavier, will have this podcast up. Boomer Takes. In the meantime, be safe, be smart, be good, be strong. Love Jesus Christ. Thank God for the blessings of rain that helps Kansas feed the world. And a shout out on a special day to my mom named Mary. Love you. Mary's the best. Take care, guys. Okay. See you next time. Bye-bye.